Hey goals, welcome back. So there are a lot of really great horror remakes out there, especially slasher remakes. So today, I want to do a ranking of the most iconic four: Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. My personal favorite franchise is Halloween, so we're going to start with the Halloween remakes in 2007 and 2009. Now, I have talked about Rob Zombie's movies before in a previous video, and over the years, I'm realizing that they're just not for me. The only one that I really love is House of a Thousand Corpses, but his Halloween remakes, they don't feel like Halloween movies to me. Now, I'm all open to a reimagining, but these just feel like a completely different entity. So starting with Halloween 2, released in 2009, the only thing similar to the original Halloween 2 is the hospital scene we get, which is really just a dream sequence. But it's not the whole movie like the original. Everything after the hospital chase scene is completely different. And I really don't like how Michael is portrayed in the 2007 remake, but in this one, it's 10 times worse. I hate the way he looks, the half mask with the beard coming out. He even talks at the end of this movie, which is really strange. This movie is just so far left field from what a Halloween movie really is. Just the essence of that world is completely taken away. Now, I think that if they put a different mask on Michael and just called this movie something else, maybe this would work for me. Maybe if this was a standalone slasher that had nothing to do with Halloween, maybe I would enjoy it more. But to call it Halloween 2, it does feel like a bit of an insult. I know that these remakes have a lot of fans, but I just can't get behind these. So the Halloween 2 remake is definitely at the bottom of this ranking. Next up, we have Halloween, released in 2007. So basically all the same critiques. I don't love this movie. It's a little bit better than the sequel, but I really don't enjoy like that first hour prequel that we get following Michael as a kid and how he came about. It's just over explaining the character way too much. And there's something about Rob Zombie's films that everything is so over the top vulgar and brutal. Like all that dialogue between the family, it's so tiring and draining to listen to. I don't think that he knows or understands how to write real dialogue between characters. And I find his writing to be really, really lazy. But there's a way to do it that has more substance. And also was more meaningful to the story, to the conversation, to certain storylines. I remember going to the theater to see this when, I was 10 years old. And at the end of the day, I love Halloween. I love the idea of Michael Myers. So I was excited to go to the theater and see a remake of my favorite horror movie of all time. But, you know, as the years have gone on, this is not a remake that I find myself rewatching. Next up, we have Nightmare on Elm Street, released in 2009. Now, there's a lot to this movie that I really don't enjoy. It's hard for me to pick out anything positive in this remake. So Freddy is recast, and his design in this, it does look more realistic, but there's something missing to the character. There's a humorness, there's almost like a self-awareness and a campiness to Freddy that we have known and loved for so many years. But this take on Freddy, it's almost taking itself too seriously. And that even ties into how he looks. It takes a direction that I think takes the fun out of Nightmare on Elm Street. And they really lean into this idea of Freddy being a sexual abuser to these children to the point that it's like really uncomfortable and it just feels unnecessary. Maybe that was subtly hinted at in the original, but for the most part, we kind of just get the gist that Freddy was a child murderer. But in this one, we really are getting a bigger and deeper backstory to Freddy. And I don't enjoy that. It's really interesting that it's been so long since we've gotten any other Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I think that there's so much potential with this character, with this universe, so much room to play. I'm really hoping that one day this franchise falls into the hands of a really great director who cares about these characters and we get a really good interpretation of Nightmare on Elm Street, hopefully one day. But all in all, this remake is probably right next to Halloween 2. This is definitely at the bottom of my ranking. All right, next up we have Friday the 13th, also released in 2009. There is a few things that I really like about this remake. I really love that opening sequence, and In fact, I wish it was the whole 90 minutes of this movie. I think it's really, really so exciting, and I love that we get Baghead Jason. For me, that's my favorite version of Jason. I love part 2, and I really enjoyed that they brought that back. But the whole idea of this like prequel story that's just a few minutes in the beginning of this movie, a group of friends staying at Camp Crystal Lake, obviously they come into contact with Jason. I think it's the most exciting part of this whole movie. Everything after this, it kind of goes downhill for me, and the only reason why is I just think the writing and the characters are so awful. It's just so over the top with the nudity and the sex and the really corny jokes. It just takes you out of the movie. But I think this version of Jason that we get in this remake is really well done. He seems a lot more brutal and faster, and his appearance is really, really terrifying. And the idea that he's living underground in these tunnels, I like that idea. And also another standout for me is the character Jenna. I like that she's kind of set up to be the final girl. Ultimately, Jason kills her in the end, and I like that. I think it keeps the movie exciting. So this is definitely not on the bottom of the ranking, but I'm gonna put it in the B tier. I don't know if this movie is worthy of being in the A tier, so I'm gonna leave it right next to Halloween. And last but not least, we have my personal favorite slasher remake, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, released in 2003. Now, this is the remake that I grew up with as a kid. I remember having this on VHS and watching it with my cousin all the time. Probably too young to be watching this, but I loved this movie. Erin, played by Jessica Biel, is definitely one of my favorite final girls of all time. And there's a grittiness to this movie that I really love. I think the way this movie was shot and just the overall atmosphere that they captured was really well done. There's a grittiness that I really love about this movie. I think it's really well shot. The cinematography is really great. There's a scene where Jessica Biel's character is running through the woods, and you see the fog in the woods and the way the light is coming through the trees. I just think this movie is really beautiful to look at. This definitely has some of the best chase scenes as well. We get the scene in the house, the iconic moment where Leatherface opens the sliding door. We get the scene where Erin is trying to hotwire the car. There's so many great moments in this movie. And the atmosphere is really great too. You can feel that sweatiness, the hot weather, that dirt, and the griminess of it all. Now, is this exactly the same as the original? No, but it does a really great job of doing something a little bit different, but still staying close to the source material. I really don't have many critiques about this movie. I think the opening's great. I think Leatherface looks awesome. I love this movie. So that is my ranking of these top 4 iconic slasher remakes. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and if you haven't already, hit the notifications button so you can keep up to date with my weekly videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.